I've started now recording. Good afternoon to all of you. We are on unit number 2 of the subject HRM in global practices. We were discussing the various functions at the global level, in which now we are on the third function, that is training and development. Now when we talk about training at the international level, it is training of the expatriate. Who is an expatriate? Expatriate is the employee of the company who is being sent for the international assignment abroad for a limited period of time. So this expatriate who is going for the assignment or the new project in the new country has to be given special type of training. Training has to be especially on cultural awareness about the culture of the country in which that employee is now going to work or that expatriate is going to work. So this kind of training needs to be given to the employee as well as to the spouse and family of the employee who is going to accompany that employee in the international country. If the cross-cultural training is given properly, what is cross-cultural training? Training of another country given to our employee. That is called as cross-cultural training. When at the global level MNCs are operating, you will have employees of different cultures coming together and working together. So that they are properly adjusted, you need to give them cross-cultural training. So this cross-cultural training results in change in attitude of each and every employee. Everybody becomes positive towards each other. Everyone is able to adjust better their feelings towards each other, emotions towards each other become very positive. This will result in improving self-confidence of each and every employee, better adjustment resulting in better productivity. Cross-cultural training will also give knowledge to each and every employee. Knowledge about what? The cultures of each other. When you understand the culture of your fellow employees, you can adjust with them better. This will result in a proper behavior or appropriate behavior and appropriate communication in the organization. So all in all, this cross-cultural training is going to help people to adjust with each other. People belonging to different cultures, different religions, speaking different languages, belonging to different nations, all working together in a harmonious way. When we conduct cross-cultural training, the HR manager has to keep in mind several things, like all kind of information about the country in which that expatriate is being sent should be revealed or should be passed on to him or her. Then the HR manager should also be very much aware about some important aspects like punctuality time in the host country. There might be several linguistic barriers, cultural stress, which needs to be addressed. The body language, the way of greeting in the new country should be taught to the expatriate. Communication should be very clear before the employee goes, before the expatriate goes to the new country. Pre-departure briefing should be given. Written records of whatever is being done are very essential because documentation is very important. Career planning session should be given to the expatriate so that the expatriate who is leaving his home country going to the host country does not feel left out, does not feel as if his career is come to an end. So career planning sessions need to be given and the expatriate should be given some space and time to adjust himself or herself to the new environment. Now we come to the next function, which is performance management. In semester 5, we have learned this as a whole subject. So all of you are very much familiar with what is performance management. Performance management is trying to not only evaluate the performance of your employees, but at the same time trying to improve the performance of your employees as well as of the organization. So when we talk about performance management at the international level, that is IPM, it is a process that enables the multinational enterprise to evaluate and continuously improve the individual, that is the employee, then the subsidiary unit which is there in the host country, and the corporate, which is the main office or the head office in the parent country. So everybody's performance has to improve when we are talking about international performance management. So you will see that this whole concept is not very simple, because we are talking at the international level, it becomes more complex. Now let us see the variables which affect the expatriate परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट. तो जो एम्प्लॉय को आप भेज रहे हो दूसरे कंट्री में, फॉरेन कंट्री में, जहाँ पे आपका बिजनेस आप एक्सपांड कर रहे हो, तो उसका परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट करते वक्त आपको कौन कौन से फैक्टर्स ध्यान में रखने पड़ेंगे. These factors are: number one, compensation package. If you are sending your employee abroad or on an international assignment, so are you giving some special allowances to the employee or not? This is definitely going to affect the performance of the employee. अगर उसको वही सैलरी यहाँ पे मिल रहा है और वही सेम सैलरी आप फॉरेन कंट्री में दे रहे हो, then that will not motivate the employee. Then the task which the employee is doing, if that employee is doing, say, finance job in the parent country and you are sending him for marketing in a foreign country, then the task is changing. So when you are doing the performance management, you should keep this in mind. This has an important bearing on the performance of the employee. How much support the headquarter, that is the parent country, is giving, parent company is giving. How is the environment in the host country जहाँ पे वो जा रहा है, is it hostile, is it friendly? That will also have an important influence on the performance of that employee. And the last and the most important variable is how that employee is able to adjust in the country in which he is working now. Not only he, but how his family is able to adjust. So all these factors are definitely going to impact the performance of the employee. So as the HR manager who is rating that employee who is an expatriate, you have to keep this in mind. These are the several factors which will influence performance, which we have already seen in the subject performance management semester 5. So managerial standards, motivation, commitment, employee evaluation, job security, skills and knowledge, role clarity, work environment and culture, all of them are going to influence the performance of any employee, whether he is a local employee or is an expatriate. When you're talking about performance appraisal of international employees, there are certain things which need to be made very clear at the beginning itself. That is, on what criteria are you going to evaluate the employee? Is it hard, soft, or contextual goals? What is this hard, soft, and contextual goal? We will see in a while in the forthcoming slide. Now, who will conduct performance appraisal of an expatriate? Is it the parent country which is sending the expatriate, or is it the host country in which the employee is going to work now? So that needs to be decided beforehand. Whether the appraisal forms will be the same which are used in parent country or they will be customized as per the host country. How frequently the appraisal is to be done, how the communication of the feedback needs to be done, and all these matters need to be decided beforehand so that there is no confusion. Now we just talked about some goals in expatriate performance appraisal. One is hard goal, second is soft goal, third is contextual goal. Any goal which is measurable or quantifiable, that is called as hard goal. Some qualities which cannot be measured, that is soft goal. For example, if the expatriate has gone to a country for an assignment and there in the country he has established the company and the rate of interest has improved, or the market share of the company, the market value of the shares of the company has increased, this kind of achievement is quantifiable or measurable. This is called as hard goal. Now what is soft goal? When the employee, the expatriate, goes to a foreign country, guides people over there on how to do business properly, mentors the subordinates over there. This is his or her quality of a good leader. So these kinds of goals are soft goals. They cannot be measured, but they can be observed, felt, and they are very, very important. If you have a good leader, the whole organization will take a very positive direction. And contextual goals are goals which are influenced by the environment in which the expatriate is performing, because in the host country there might be certain government rules, regulations which are restricting the performance of the employee. So when you are appraising the employee, you should keep in mind all these three things. Now in case of performance management of expatriate, you have this concept called as HCN role conception. HCN role conception means host country national role conception. So look at the picture over here. You have the parent company which is sending the expatriate. तो जब ये expatriate को भेजते हैं तो they will also communicate to the host country what is the role of this expatriate, what you can expect. So this is being communicated over there. Barabar? Now the employee is crossing this cultural border coming to the host country. In the host country, you have the person working under the host country manager. Now this manager will have his or her own expectations. He will expect that expatriate to work in a better way. So they will be continuously monitoring the performance of the employee and giving them feedback. But this feedback will not be passed to the parent company. So sometimes appraising the expatriate becomes very difficult for the parent company. And at the end, here you have performance management, challenges of expatriate performance appraisal. It is very difficult to evaluate an overseas employees because number one, that employee is far away from you. Number two, the employee is performing in different circumstances. It is a totally different environment in which the employee is performing. And that is why the HR manager has to be very, very tactful and careful while appraising an expatriate. The next function which we have to talk about is motivation and reward system at the international level. This is just the same as what we learned in the subject motivation and leadership in your last year. Okay, so motivation is required by everyone, whether he is an expatriate, whether he is just an employee, whether he is local, international. Every human being requires motivation. Simply giving paycheck is not enough. You need to motivate the employee through other positive reinforcement also. So these are the essentials of a reward, which is one tool of motivating an employee. It satisfies some need of the employee. It is an effort and reward relationship should be there. You just can't keep on giving them reward. Just like, you know, a small child does something and you reward the child with a chocolate or whatever. So if you just keep on giving chocolates for no reason, the employee will, the child will not be interested. So same ways for good efforts, give a reward, and reward should be equitable. जितना एफर्ट्स किया उस हिसाब से रिवॉर्ड, थोड़ा सा किया और बहुत बड़ा रिवॉर्ड या बहुत कुछ किया और छोटा सा रिवॉर्ड, ऐसे नहीं होना चाहिए. At the same time, it should be cost effective for the organization. अलग अलग तरह का रिवॉर्ड्स दो, अदरवाइज वो बोर हो जाएगा. रिवॉर्ड शुड बी परफॉर्मेंस बेस्ड, मोटिवेटिंग, ट्रांसपेरेंट, कॉस्ट इफेक्टिव एंड कॉम्पिटिटिव. So there is not much to speak about because in motivation we have already learned everything in the subject last year. Only thing which we need to discuss over here is benchmarking global practices. Now what do you mean by benchmarking? Benchmarking means trying to find out which is the best practice, best standards which is used all over the world, and you make use of that in your organization. So when you are operating at the global level, you have to find out which is the best motivating system all over the world, which company is using the best motivating system, and you apply that in your organization. So this is called as benchmarking global practices. In your own organization, if you have subsidiaries all over the world, so which is a subsidiary which is very, very popular, or which is the subsidiary, the branch of your office, your organization where employees are very happy. You find that out and find out the practices which are used over there. That is also benchmarking global practices. The last function which we have to do in unit number 2 is industrial relations at the international level. Now, what do you mean by industrial relations? Industrial relations means the relationship between employee and employer, between the employee and the employee, between the employee and the maybe government or all the stakeholders. So if there is any difficulty in these relationship, it may lead to lots of conflicts, which may result into lockouts, layoffs, and litigations and lots of judicial issues. So especially at the international level, since the laws are different, the governments are different, they practice different customs and conventions. The HR manager should be very much familiar with the rules, regulations, laws of the various countries in which the businesses are being carried out. The key issues in international industrial relation is who should handle the labor relations. Is it the headquarter, यानी जो पेरेंट कंपनी जहाँ पे है, हेडक्वार्टर जहाँ पे है, वो लोग हैंडल करेंगे कोई भी लेबर रिलेशंस, या फिर होस्ट कंट्री के अंदर जहाँ पे सब्सिडियरी है वो लोग हैंडल करेंगे? दैट नीड्स टू बी वेरी वेरी क्लियर. Usually in the subsidiary where in whichever country it is situated, locally it is advisable to handle the labor relations, because the host country nationals will understand the issues in a better. The second issue is what should be the union tactics. यानी आपको encourage करना है ट्रेड यूनियन आपकी कंपनी में, या फिर you want employee participation, or you want to dictate things and let the employees follow what they want to do. Various countries have different rules and regulations for trade unions. Trade unions sometimes limit the strategic choice of MNCs. If in any country the trade union is very strong, the multinational company would not like to enter, because employees will always keep on demanding more compensation, less number of hours of work, and so on. So the trade unions will restrict the MNCs. How? By influencing the wage level. तो उनको अगर वेज लेवल वेजेस बढ़ाना है तो ट्रेड यूनियन, थ्रू द ट्रेड यूनियन एम्प्लॉयज विल बार्गेन विद द एमएनसी, विच द एमएनसी में फाइंड अनकॉम्पिटिटिव. उनका जो कॉस्ट स्ट्रक्चर है वो कॉम्पिटिटिव नहीं होगा. Second, trade union may also limit by constraining ability of MNC to vary employment at will. When you have a strong trade union, they have several demands that you can appoint, you should appoint people, especially in a country like India. There are lots of reservations. So you should employ people from a particular caste or category, or a particular religion, or speaking a language, वगैरह, which the MNC would not like to follow. And last, by preventing global integration of operation of the MNCs. तो अगर ट्रेड यूनियन है तो बहुत सारा रिस्ट्रिक्शन आ जाता है एमएनसी के ऊपर, एंड दे माइट नॉट वांट टू start business in such a country. So with that we have covered unit number 2. Thank you.